Today's topic is harnessing AI to amplify human creativity in writing. And I'm your co host, Ileane Smith, and I want to introduce our other co host today, which is Deborah, who's also a pro videographer, and she goes by the handle of Social Web Cafe. So, how are you, Deborah?
Doing really well. Doing a busy summer. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We are actually having a block party
Oh,
today.
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know they still had those. Those are fun.
Yeah, they have it every year. And it's usually around closer to the 4th of July. But like I said, it's just been hot and hectic. And so even their schedule changed. So if you hear kids screaming, it's not a bad thing.
It's a good thing. It's a good
Yes,
thing.
they're out there on the big slide, inflatable slide that's in the middle of the street. And so, yeah, it's a good thing. The neighbors come together and they're probably, they think I'm a snob because I never come out there. But
But I think it's a
that's
cool
okay.
idea that they have that available. People can, get together and kids can play and
Yes. And I'd like to say hello to Sue Ann, who's here. And I did send you a speaker invite in case you wanted to. And also, Yita Gesu. Thank you for joining us and for showing up today. So let's get us started, Deborah.
okay. Hey, I have a question that I don't know if it's complicated, but it was something I actually thought of at the last minute. I love these last minute ideas and would love to hear the input of our guests as well. And Suanne, I know you will have creative ideas as well because we know you. But how do we organize all these tools? I know in the past I've talked about how I like to use Trello, and I think Trello is not your favorite as far as tools, Miss Eileen. But that's kind of how I track the AI tools that I use. But all these wonderful tools out there. How do you remember which tool you subscribe to? Which one is the best tool for this? The best tool for that? Do you bookmark them in your browser? Do I keep them in Trello cards, but I wonder how we keep them straight so we can get to them really fast and be able to create our content.
Oh, well, you know me. I always fly by the seat of my pants. I'm not a person that's like organized. That's not my thing. I can tell you what I do, but it's a total hot mess. But I see that Suanne has accepted the microphone. So let's hear. I think she's a whole lot more organized than I am. So, Suanne, how are you today?
Hello, ladies. I'm very well, thank you. And I'm happy to catch up with you guys. I don't know what happens sometimes at that 3 o'clock mark. I know you're on a Saturday, and then next thing you know, it's 6. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that
Um,
happens.
Organization is getting tougher and tougher the more assets you build and the more topics that you cover and the more research you do. I am, like I've said before, I love Trello. Trello is like my brain, but I'm always kind of experimenting with different ways because there's so many different kinds of content that we want to put together, with doing audio and video and things like that. And also, I think getting our processes kind of in order, like creating those systems for how this moves through the system to that, moves through the system to that. And so I've been working on my systems and processes because let's face it, we want to spend more time being creative and doing the things that we like to do and less time doing all of the administrative stuff that's all part of producing any of it. It's not just writing it, creating it, and producing it and publishing it, it's amplifying it through social. It's repurposing it. It's, interacting with people. It's creating so much more than one thing. And so there's a lot of steps to it. So the systems and processes I feel are incredibly helpful. And I'm really personally always tweaking and trying to get better and better with that. I'm starting to finally have like processes and steps that I use for certain things. But I'm going to ruin the conversation right up front because we're talking about amplifying creativity in writing with AI. And I use a lot of AI in different ways, but I'm really doing the bulk of my writing still human, out of my head, out of my heart, out of my mind, out of my thinking. It's part of thinking to me, and I can't quit.
That's good though. You are human. You're using your humanity. I think that's what, Miss Ileane and I, we were talking about this. It's like, how do those two things, not that you're a thing, we're not things, but AI is a thing, but we're not things. But how do we get along with AI? How do we maximize that so that we're using both sides of the, it's not the same coin. How do you describe that? Help me out, Miss Ileane.
Yeah, it's the different perspectives. So it's kind of blending the perspectives. So let's go back. I think we should backtrack a bit, and I'll tell you what I did for today. I went to one of my tools I've been using, and I'll tell you what
Can
it
I
is.
guess? No.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah. Yes,
I'll
please.
probably get it wrong, but I was just going to guess Magi, but that.
No, not this
Oh, I
time.
got
That
that.
was my
Okay.
guess
See?
too. That was mine.
Oh, yeah. I've been branching out. I've been exploring some other things. And this one is Perplexity.
Ah.
Perplexity
I
because
played with that one too. Nice one.
it's great for search. And I asked, how can we harness AI to amplify human creativity in writing? And even on the free plan, they let you use the pro search like 5 times a day or some such number. I can't remember because I don't use it that much.
Plenty for your purposes, definitely.
Yes.
Is Trello going off in your head right now? So like the 5 times I'm the Trello card's going off. It's like, okay, now I've got that marked down in the card.
So I'm not, of course, I'm
It's
not
on
going
the AI card.
I'm not going to read, everything that it said, but I will give you like the topic headings and then we can discuss further. So number 1 is idea generation and inspiration. Now, I actually had written out a couple of things myself before I even went to Perplexity, but the idea generation was one that I hadn't written down. And so I was glad that I did go over to Perplexity for that. The number 2 is enhanced research capabilities. Now, for me, research is number 1. To me, that's the main reason for using AI for writing, because there's just, I can't put all that stuff in my head anymore. I was 25, but I'm not 25 anymore. And I realize that.
Do you think you're replacing your, say, like Google search with your AI tool searches now then with your research, would you say?
Oh,
Is that the direction?
absolutely, but not because I think it's giving me better results or whatever, and I'm not judging. I just know Perplexity doesn't have any ads. I don't have to look at ads. Yay!
That's a great thing.
At this moment, okay, let's
And
keep
how
that in mind.
current are the sources? Because that's my other hang up. I'm always looking like back the research or give me your sources, and I want to make sure they're current.
All the sources are there. In this particular case, I just did this like 20 minutes before I started the space, so I didn't investigate all the sources, but I can tell you what they are as soon as I go through. How many are? Actually, there's 6, and we're on number 2. So research, and like I said, that's my main reason for wanting to use AI. And this topic for today was a great example. Drafting and editing. Yeah. Save time on editing. Yes. Sign me up. Overcoming writer's block. Now, I got to tell you guys, this writer's block topic has come up ever since I started blogging back in 2009. I never had writer's block. I got too much stuff, if anything. So I don't get writer's block, but I understand that
100%.
I do understand that a lot of people have that. And it may be not just because you can't think of an idea, but because you have so many choices, you can't pick which one. Now that has happened.
Like
I'm like, okay,
streamlining.
what am I going to talk about today? I don't know. Let's look at the 20 things that I've been working on this week, right? So, overcoming writer's block. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5, collaboration and iteration. As y'all know, we don't have any problems with collaboration because that's what we're doing right now. Okay, and number 6 is maintaining artistic authenticity. Now, that's interesting that AI tells me that AI is going to help maintain authenticity. And, like I said, I'm not going to read all the in-depth things that it said about it, but I thought, that's interesting. So what I
Oh my.
did,
Hey, can I bother you? I missed like the second one. I'm sorry. Or
Yeah,
wait, after research. I'm sorry. I'm taking notes.
yeah. The
The one after research?
After
It's
research was
drafting and editing.
Drafting and
Here's
editing.
Okay.
you know what's funny, Miss Ileane? The one that I had first on my list that for my use was the one that you didn't have on there at all. Would be the idea generation and inspiration, like just kind of throwing in a keyword and seeing what it throws back to give you, ideas to go. Like you said, I don't need ideas. I'm like bubbling over with them, and it's a matter of which way to go. There's so many picks and so much to do and so many great topics.
Yeah.
So I don't run out of ideas, but ideas and I think maybe that was on the top of my list because I hear that that's how so many other people use it. Honestly,
that was the top of my list too. As far as when I came up with my own list without asking AI, that was the first one on my list was the idea generation. So it's interesting how we think apart from AI. But then I also did an AI list.
And so what the good thing that I like about Perplexity is that it allows you to share it. So I just shared that. So you guys don't even have to take notes on what I just said.
Aw, thank
I
you.
just shared it. And
too late.
and hopefully I'm going to be able to pin it up into the nest. And just I'm not sure why it didn't give me. I've grabbed my phone and it didn't give me the option to share it into the space. I'm not sure why. Darn
But
it.
you always create such wonderful show notes. I know it'll end up there too. So
And so the other place that I've been hearing so much about, the other site, is Claude. And so what did I do? I went over to ask Claude the same thing. And so Claude their results were a little different. And I'm not going to read them because there's 10 of them. But I will say that one that stands out to me right away because it's number 2 on this list is language enhancement. AI powered tools can suggest alternative word choices, phrasings, or sentence structures to improve the overall quality and flow of writing. And I thought that is a great way to describe something that I want from AI.
I'm guilty of that. I use it as a thesaurus, basically, right? I am guilty of that one. I'll write something and then I'll ask it, and I'll pick up a couple of the words to just adjust and use more. I like to play. I always say I like to splash around in words. For me, it's playing with words. But yeah, that's a great one.
I hadn't thought of that as actually one of the bullet points, but I do that. Like you said, Sue-Ann, kind of play around with different words, different phrases, different ways to write things.
Yeah, and Claude doesn't give me a nice sharing link. Not that I can find right now, but maybe it's in the pro version. I'm not sure. But Yeah, there's a bunch of them here, and like personalized feedback. AI can provide tailored writing advice based on an individual's writing style and goals, helping writers improve their craft over time. Now, I
That's what
love, go ahead.
that's what Claude does, you said?
That is
Similar
one
to
of the
Grammarly?
that is one of the answers that it gave me when I asked that
Oh,
question.
gotcha.
That-
Gotcha.
number nine.
I actually like Claude. It's one that I've kind of been leaning towards after playing with a few. I kind of like Claude. It's a little bit different. One thing, and I'm gonna have to check that I don't think I've set it up in Claude or the one you were talking about earlier yet, Miss
Perplexity.
Ileane. But I did set it up in my Chat GPT where I make it show me resources when I'm asking for like research topics. I kind of put that into the command, I
Into
can't think of the
your
word. I'm
prompt.
having a moment.
Your prompt. Your
Prompt,
prompt.
that's it. How
Yeah.
can you forget? Impromptu prompting. Yes. So that's interesting. And so I like to make sure that's one thing that on all of them I'm looking for is to make sure I'm getting current data because keeping up with Miss Ileane is nearly impossible. You got to get the most current information.
Well, and this is another reason why I like Perplexity is because it cites all of the references. And, I mean, it's not a perfect thing. We all know it's still AI, right? So, as best as I can tell, it's citing all the references. So, and
I
it gives,
love you. Look, you did the smart thing anyway. You used more than one resource of the AI resources to compare even among them, which is also something I find myself doing. Like, let's see what Claude says. Let's see what Perplexity says. Let's see what Chat GPT says. Right?
yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. And so, from what I can tell, I'm going to go back to Perplexity now. And like I said, you can follow along if you want to look at it later on because I tweeted it. And uh, HBR, that's Harvard Business Review, is the number one source. Technology Review. I haven't gone to that site in a long time, but I always feel that it's a well respected resource. SPS.NYU, and I'm not sure what the SPS stands for because I didn't click on any of these resources yet. Because as I mentioned, I just did this right before. The Guardian and something called Copywriter Collective. That's the only one that I'm not 100% sure about, just based on the title. I haven't, like I said, I haven't gone to the site. And another thing, I'm trying to avoid all the ads that I may run into on any of these sites, which is why I'm just using Perplexity.
I think that's the best answer ever of
Mm-hmm.
why to pick one is this one is ad free and it gives me resources to back the information. Bing bang boom, that's important. And I definitely love Miss Ileane likes the ad free life. I know that. But you know what? It's time. People value their time. And that's why we're using AI in the first place. So, cluttering your AI with ads is like killing the idea. Like it's counterintuitive to me in some ways.
Good
Yeah,
point.
and it's not so much that the AI. I actually haven't run into any AIs that have ads yet, but I know it's coming. But it's the ads that you would see on Google because I don't use ad blockers, right? So, and I'm not sure about Bing because I don't really search with Bing that much. I did a little bit when they first rolled out their little AI tool, but uh, you are going to see ads on Google. I don't care what you search for. They're going to show you some kind of ads or they're going to summarize things in a
And
way.
Microsoft Pilot, I think, is the one you were saying for
Yeah,
Bing
Pilot, but it was called something else when
or
it first came.
Copilot.
But yeah, Copilot and one that was suggested to me, but I haven't used yet, is Gemini, and that is from Google.
The only reason I used Copilot was because I wanted to do a DALI 3 visual one time, and you could get it on there.
Yeah. Oh, I see my friend Mark is tweeting saying, glad you're using Perplexity too. Oh, Mark, get
Aw.
in here.
No kidding. Hey, can I add a couple to your list here? They're not
Sure.
obtained through AI, but they're actually obtained through my brain. So and actually one of them is for my brain. And I don't like to admit this, but I think everybody like who's ever listened to these already knows about it. But another reason is health. I don't think that one comes up on the list very often, but AI helps people who may have challenges like I do sometimes. And that is, for instance, if I call them RPMs, if my brain is running too many RPMs, and sometimes I do that to myself because I just love thinking. I love staying up all night. I love coming up with, 1,000 things to do because it's just fun to think. You know what I mean? It's like how weightlifters enjoy lifting weights because it feels good muscular wise. It's what I've heard them say. I love doing that with my brain, but it's not necessarily good for someone's brain to do that if they're going to have a seizure. So it's like, okay, you got to stop.
I know you
So
got to cut that out, girl.
I know I got to really stop doing that. So
You
there's
gotta
that
quit
point
that.
where it's like, pull back, stop the thinking, stop the RPMs because it's like lifting too many weights or whatever, in the brain. So that's where the AI helps me out because I can, it may seem like I'm cheating, but it's like, no, it's self-care first. So I'm going to step
That's
back.
so
I'm going to let,
important. That's the biggest, I think, plus, right? We can all agree, right? AI is going to help you with productivity and it's going to help you save time. And I'm going to say I would say that's the number one plus with
yep,
anything AI, whether
yep.
it be you're using it for writing, whether it be, in my case, I like using it for things beyond writing because I like to write and I just do that out of my head. But for like I'm using it for different things with video. I'm using it for repurposing. We've all talked about the Cast Magic tool as one of the ways to do that, and Zealous when you're
Definitely.
working with the Twitter spaces. um but
Instant
see,
chapters,
I love
clap, I mean,
how
the whole list. Yeah.
Deb, I love how what you said is personalizing it for your particular needs too. And definitely we all want you to be okay. So your health first purpose is a great one and a great one to add to the list.
And even, it's interesting. We talk about stuff like, writing and stuff on the web, but even my insulin pump has kind of a version of AI that it uses. It tracks how I respond. I didn't realize it was AI until I was talking to some of the developers, but it's using an AI to see how I respond. So it knows when to turn the insulin pump off. So I thought, wow, I actually have an AI insulin pump that works with me. So it's like, this is really prevalent,
Is
not
that
just
like
in
your
the creative
backup
arts.
generator? So when you're on the show, you won't have a seizure because that scared us so bad last time. I was like beside
Well,
myself.
fortunately,
I,
that was like you could call it kind of allergic to medicine, so I'm never taking that medicine again. So we'll call it that, so that I'm staying away from that one. It was doctor prescribed, but we decided that's not good, so we won't
it was
take
a
that one. But
Yeah. But
but
you know what? I think right now, Deborah, I think that we would all be hard pressed to find an electronic, especially if it's connected to the internet, that doesn't have AI.
I think you're
Like
right. Yeah,
every tool imaginable has some AI component to it, whether you realize it or not. And I know, like, we were supposed to really be talking about writing today, but me, video is my thing. And so I am just looking at all the things that YouTube has started integrating with, your analytics. They have something now called the inspiration tool where you can uh, get your content ideas. Oh, look who's here. Hi, Gail. Gail's here.
Hi,
Gail,
Gail. It's
yeah.
so nice to see you, Gail.
want to send
Miss
you.
Ileane, I have a question about your AI tools with YouTube. Are you using the like the ABC, like you can put up to I think 3 thumbnails now for testing? Have you tried that yet at all, or what's your thoughts
It,
on that?
yeah. Before I answer you, I just want to make sure that Gail saw that I sent her an invitation to speak, and just in case she's not looking at the screen.
Oh, and I did
So,
too. So she's got two. So she's
oh
double.
boy, she's definitely covered. We can't have you in here, Gail, without letting you tell us what your experience is with using AI. So we'd love to hear from you. Now, Sue-Ann, here's the thing about A/B testing thumbnails. And actually, YouTube calls it test and compare because you can compare up to 3 different versions of a thumbnail. But I've been A/B testing thumbnails for like 5, maybe even more years using TubeBuddy. So YouTube having that feature doesn't float my boat. It doesn't get me excited or anything because I've done that so many times. I can't even tell you. But it's good that, YouTube has integrated that. So Gail, hello and welcome.
Hi there. I'm sorry. I've been so tired. I laid back down and fell sound asleep.
That's good. That means you needed that rest, and we're glad you got it.
Yeah, This is my day of rest. Honestly, that's why I usually don't work on Saturdays. But yeah, sorry. And then when I joined, Twitter did something weird, and I couldn't see, where you guys were or how to join or anything. It was weird.
Maybe Twitter was taking a day of rest, so it needed a break.
Gail just thinks she's having a nightmare right now. She woke up and she's.
But I would love to hear any reflections or any of your experience with using AI with your writing, or if you're even using it.
Well, I personally prefer to write. I don't like AI spitting out content that I have to fact check because
AI writing channel.
Well, no, honestly though, no, I love AI for some things. Like I use Hemingway app and I use Grammarly sometimes, and I love using Surfer SEO to take a piece of content and make it so it goes to the top of Google and stays there. Now that I like optimizing content using Surfer SEO. I love that. But I don't want it to write the content for me. I don't want to have to fact check it because it hallucinated some crazy crap. And it has a hard time understanding the subject and the object. Have you ever noticed? And so it mixes them up, right?
Actually, well, one of the things that I shared was this tool that I've used, Perplexity, and I'm using it basically for research, not to write anything out for me, but for research.
Right, but how do you know? Does it show you the sources though? Because there's a lot of nonsense on the internet, and you have to know what the source is. You really do.
Yeah. Yes, we went into that. In fact, Gail, if you look at my Twitter timeline, you'll see I shared the whole search results that I got for this very topic that we're discussing today. And it cites all of the sources. In fact, that's what I was going through was some of the sources right before you came. You joined me.
Right. So
yes.
it would be helpful for research if it shows you the sources and you know it's not making crazy crap up. Right?
Yes.
But I still think that when you're in the flow and you write content, it is far superior to where you have a piece of content and you try to edit it into being something good because it just never comes out as good.
Good point.
I agree with you, Gail. I'm back a couple paragraphs. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on the perplexity and the research aspect. I'm thinking with it's Surfer SEO or is it SEO Surfer? I always get that confused. But if you're using that to identify how to optimize the content to get it to the top, you could almost use both those tools together. Still write it yourself, but you're using Perplexity to get the research, like Miss Ileane had talked about as far as your research and the source, and double check the source, and then using the Surfer SEO to help you identify what you need in order to rank it. So you're actually using all three, your brain and then the two tools. Is that kind of the best of all worlds?
I have a great quote from our favorite writer, for many of us know her and love her, Anne Handley. I just heard her talking about this 2 days ago on a live interview. And here's what she said. about the topic of AI and writing. Okay, quote. Each one of us should be racing to get our voice out there to become that trusted voice. Like our unique voice is what she was talking about. Like she's like, forget it. If you're a writer, if you're, you know what I mean? If you're a content creator, writer, marketing writer, if you're like a diehard, look, to me, writing, I'm so diehard writer that to me, everything digital starts with writing. Writing is at the core of everything that's produced and created, I feel. Maybe it's just that writer inside, heart in me. But if you think about it, she has a good point, because what's going to be unique right now and what is going to stand out is that voice out of your head and your heart and your mind. Like Gail said, it's about thinking and organizing out of your own self. And I know Henneke, who I also love, Henneke Dustermott, from Enchanting Marketing, also feels like she can't quit the human writing. And Ryan Biddulph, who we all know, can't quit. Like some of us, I guess it's stuck in our heart.
Yeah, I don't think that AI is going to replace writing. I mean, yeah, if it's spitting out sports scores, it should be fine. But if it's real writing, you need humans to do that, right? I mean, the thing is, AI can only replicate what already exists. It cannot create something new.
Totally agree. And eventually there's that risk that it's just replicating more and more, as you said, Gail, more and more crap. Unless
Right,
you have humans.
It only has the old stuff, right? It doesn't have the new. I mean, depending on what it's trained on, right? Originally, was it ChatGPT that only had stuff 2 years old? And so it can't come up with new thoughts. It can't, empathize. It just is a good research tool. I mean, it's a great research tool. That's why Surfer SEO is so good for optimizing content. It sucks in all the content that you're trying to outrank or that's outranking you, and then assembles all the keywords for you, and then you can look at the keywords and go, what has that got to do with this? And then you can go research it. Maybe you could use Perplexity. And you go, oh, and then you've got a new section to add to your content.
The SEO aspect is one of the things that I thought was one of the things that was on my list that I thought we'd eventually get to, that Gail's already bringing up. And I know you guys all study with Ann Smarty too, and she talks about the implications of SEO and how you can use AI to check. And that's also an instance where I've used AI with writing, is to try to help it refine SEO efforts.
Yeah, and you know what? I love, Gail, that you mentioned these old school tools that I never liked Grammarly, because I don't like pop-ups, and it kind of comes up at a pop-up. But Grammarly and Hemingway, and one of the suggestions from AI was that editing and proofreading are ways that AI can help us and can harness or boost creative writing.
Well, yes and no, because even Grammarly makes mistakes, right? And so let's say English isn't your first language and you're relying on Grammarly, and it's telling you something that that we know is not right, but maybe that person whose English is not a first language doesn't know that's not right. Right? So Grammarly does make mistakes, but it's really helpful for popping up misspelled words,
Grammarly wants to tell me what word to pick. Like I had the pro or the paid thing on Grammarly for a few years, and this year I didn't renew it, and I'm like so happy because I could see, and it's still popping in, Miss Ileane, and bugging me to tell me stuff or tell me I'm doing it wrong. But look, you can use this word or this word, they mean the same thing. I would like to keep the word I choose. Why do you think, Grammarly, your word is better than mine? It's not like editing and checking punctuation like I had hoped, spelling punctuation, and maybe a little bit of it's like telling me what my word should be. I think it's like AI overstep.
I would agree with that. And that's the same thing with Hemingway app, right? if you took all the suggestions Hemingway gives you, you would have very boring content because you wouldn't have any adverbs in it. None. Right? Because it always tells you to take all the
That's so
adverbs out.
funny, huh? And the other thing
Wow.
is people are saying that they can tell some of the AI copy because it's flowery. And it's, you know what I mean? It tends to have, I guess, those euphemisms and stuff like that, like things that are so common or so, I don't know, maybe it's professionalese speak or whatever. I don't know. Corporatese.
Yeah. But, I just love the reason why I said I love the fact that you mentioned the Hemingway and the Grammarly and even the Surfer SEO is because these are tools that have been out for years, way before the whole, ChatGPT and all that stuff became public.
And we're AI before anyone said the words AI.
Right. And so I think that, we all have to, and this is why the humans are still in charge, because we all have to take any output that we get from AI with a grain of salt. Now, I use ChatGPT as well for really small tasks. And I'll give you an example of how I use it. The Logitech mouse actually has a connection with ChatGPT now. And I did a little video on this. So when I am creating my lists on Benable, so I have a list, let's just say, for example, on the creator economy. And so I put a tool on the list. And they want you to write a little note about something that you add to a list. It could be, like I said, a tool. It could be a product, skincare, whatever, an umbrella. And I would just go to the product description, use my mouse, highlight it, tap on the side button here, and it'll bring up ChatGPT, and I can ask it to summarize that description. Now, of course, I'm going to change it and put my little flavor on it, right? But it helps me quickly create those lists on Benable. And Benable is a whole nother topic, which I covered in a video on my YouTube channel. But little tasks like that, when I just want something reworded, and I don't want to have to think about it myself, because it's not that serious. It's not a blog post. It's not.
That's what worries
that
me.
admin stuff I said.
That
before.
worries me a little bit, though, because
I'm sorry. Hang on, Gail. 1 second. I just want to say hi to GK because I don't want them to think that we're ignoring them. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gail.
I was just going to say, the only thing, it kind of worries me if people rely way too much on these tools, they're going to think less and less, and the less, it's a use it or lose it thing with your brain. And we're going to lose, like, every writer has a different voice, right? Like, what Ileane writes is nothing like what I write, is nothing like Deborah writes, is nothing like Suanne writes. We all have our own style. Now, some of us are similar, like Holly Chavez writes very similar to me. But Sherry Gray writes really different than me. We both write about the same topics sometimes, but our styles are totally different, right? And so too much AI is going to take away those unique voices, and it's unique voices that make Ileane popular or make Suanne so distinguished, right? So different. It's what makes people want to hear from you, is because you're not vanilla, right? You're different.
Yeah.
Hey, Martin.
Hi, Martin. And I do.
Hello, Martin.
Deborah, please send Martin an invite. And so this is why I continue to always use these spaces, because, there's no AI in the spaces. Well, I mean, there could be, but they won't be speaking.
Oh,
And I continue to use video and live streaming in particular, because as of today, they haven't successfully come up with an AI tool for that.
I think my synopsis of things still holds true, Miss Ileane, and you probably heard me say it too before, Deb, for sure. AI is a tool and not an answer.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. No, I'm kidding.
Martin's here. So, Martin, you've got the mic. Let us know what you think about AI, how you're using it, and if you're using it for your creativity in writing.
So, yeah, I'm waiting for robots. I'm not using it at the moment. I have been thinking of it. I have bought some services, but I'm not using it. But probably soon, very soon, I will start using a tool for blogging and podcasting and creating things as a tool, as an inspiration, and in different ways. Yeah.
Well, I want to know what you think about this. Earlier, I talked about Perplexity. Perplexity has an AI generated podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard about it, or have you ever listened to it?
No, but I have heard that you could create a podcast by these robots, and that I have. It's. I think it's all good if you write somewhere that it's created by robots and not humans. So why not?
So tell us about this. What do you think it sounds like? Does it sound like
I
a
love it.
recap of the news, or
I love it. They talk about tech, the news when it comes to tech. I think we could say pop culture. That's not what they say in the intro, though. And science.
You mean so? Are you guys saying
it's called Discover Daily?
Mm-hmm.
And the folks at Perplexity, I guess there's a person behind it or someone behind it that decides which stories get covered and which ones don't. And this, they use 11 labs, which
so listen, this is a writer giving the person the voice. This is me typing into 11 labs, which I use what my characters say. YouTube wants me to say I'm using AI characters. I'm using Susie characters. These are all my voice. Every one of them is saying what I put in their mouth. So I'm not like, that's one of the issues too.
Okay, hang on, Sue-Ann, because you bring up a great point, but I think that some people may have missed what it is that you're talking about, because we kind of jumped topics. Because I was talking about podcasting, and then you went over to YouTube.
Well, are they actually? Well, I'm asking. I thought you were saying that AI was generating its own podcast, but if it's something maybe they're letting AI write and then put those words into the text to speech generator, and then I jump from text to speech to my characters use that. But the point is the same. Like, are these podcasts made by the human behind them that's putting in the content, or are they actually AI? Look, why would anyone be listening to your robot listen to my robot, or AI to AI? Like, that loses the point for me of social and human contact or connection. I don't get it at that point.
Yeah, it's actually, or if anyone who's listening to this doesn't know that 11 Labs they're really like the leader when it comes to this whole text to speech, and the voices sound very, very realistic, and it works really well in this podcast. Like, there's a couple of times that I found myself listening and forgot that it wasn't a person. Because it tells you at the very beginning, I'm Alex. I'm an AI generated podcast from Perplexity. And we cover, what I just told you guys a minute ago: tech, science, news of the day. So, and it's a Monday through Friday podcasts. I actually
So
listen.
maybe the tech collects like the different articles from different sources, and the AI just reads, like maybe it's automated in that way, where like it collects clips from articles and then reads the news that way, and then it's
Perhaps.
all fully automated. That's
Perhaps.
what's crazy. They can do whatever.
Perhaps. And actually, I decided that I'm not gonna like figure out how exactly it's put together. I just wanted to listen to it for a while to see, like, is this going to get on my nerves that this is, a bot or, reading or giving me this podcast. Now, mind you, these are short episodes. I would say, let me look at my phone real quick. I'll say 5 minutes off the top of my head, but it might be even shorter than that. They could be maybe 4 minutes because I actually listened to it. 5 minutes.
The voices are getting so good. You can give them inflections like happy, sad. You can give them excited. You can give them angry. Like you can actually, and then you can test the range and depth now from when it started. Because like I started playing with this a year ago with my characters. So the range and complexity and like how human they can sound, where it maybe won't get on your nerves, Miss Ileane, is amazing now. I just want to throw that out there since we're AI talking.
All right, let me just see if I can let you hear a little bit of it.
And welcome to the latest episode of Discover Daily by Perplexity, an AI-generated show covering the latest in tech, science, and culture. I'm Alex.
Hi, baby. Oh, I'm sorry. A little one came to see me. Deborah, can you take over?
Deborah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I was muted and trying to I was putting together a tweet and putting it in the nest, but I could actually just speak it instead of tweeting it. But, and I have to admit, I was paying more attention to the tweet. So we were talking about what? Does anyone want to fill me in?
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Deborah.
Podcast voice.
Yes, the short clip that I watched you that it sounds like a British Australian guy. It almost sounds like James Cridland on Pod News, and he talks like that when he's doing podcast news about podcasting.
The voice is very realistic.
That's the other thing. You can put your own voice in and use it as the model. Like, so if I want, like you use your own voice, you speak. They want you to use a certain, like, often they'll give you a certain paragraph to read back in to authenticate your voice, but they'll put your voice into their software. And then when you do text to voice, it's an AI generated rendition of your own voice too, right, Martin?
Yeah. So I have no problem with it, depending on the purpose of or how to get content, like short snippets and so on. But take, for example, podcasting 2.0, if it's applied here, and I say, oh, what interesting accent you have, or I like the news that you brought up here, and send some boostergram, like a donation with Satoshis. When I wonder, will a human respond to that, or what will happen then?
Yeah, and that's what I meant.
And who is the producer? Who is the co-host? Will the robots and I will, like a character, will they get show credits? Or I'm joking a bit now, but it's important as if they doing it from the get-go. I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
So why not? But
as long as it's not impersonating a person.
No.
But some of them, their pronunciation is odd.
Yeah,
and
but
they need to make it to where you can tell it when it's saying someone's name wrong or saying a particular word wrong. And what's that weird thing you used, Deborah, that turned my photo into a video?
I think it's puppetry, I think is what it's called.
That was a little weird. That's so cool.
I like Hear the Web is the service that I like as far as podcasts go. That one's really realistic and it doesn't have anything to do with the visual. That one I haven't caught them doing anything really strange as far as the audio and they sound human. That's a good question though, Martin, as far as where do you give credit? I was planning on actually, in the show notes disclosing that, hey, this is content that was written by me, but it was performed. It's performed by robots. It's performed by the web, and then giving a link.
Did any of you look on my timeline and see the beautiful graphic that was made by Ideogram for Social Cafe?
I
And
love
it's all in rhinestones, and there's a butterfly, and there's a big heart there on the side. Yeah, Ideogram is another tool that the AI has just really, really gotten good on that when it comes to creating images. Like,
I was going to ask you about that because that's beautiful. I loved it. I had to retweet, or not. I'm sorry, we don't use the word retweet anymore.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Retweet,
Okay. All right. Retweet.
That's the only one I understand.
You know what, guys, we are coming to the end of the hour. I got kids coming in from the block party, and so I do want to just go around everyone. If you have like last words where people can contact you, or even if you want to share one of your favorite AI tools or someone we should follow for AI, I would love for us to do that now. Martin, since you hadn't gotten a chance to say too much today, let's start with you.
Yeah, I would say that Deborah was liking and said looks interesting. John Lawson the third, Colder Than Ice or something like that. That is a friend with Brent and others. He is very into AI. So I would recommend to check out his stuff there. And I will come with something that will be launching really today. So I'll come back to that. But yeah, I think that's for now. Could Deborah and Ileane, could robots help you with then doing all this magic and publish, so I could listen to this the recording and replay? Could you get the robots doing that for you?
Well, I do have a little AI in the background which is Zealous, and we all know and love Zealous, who records these Twitter spaces, and you can go in and create a summary or a blog post or an newsletter blurb or timestamps, or they call it chapter markers inside of Zealous. So yeah, there's some AI going on up in
or
here.
turn it into your podcast or put it on YouTube.
Yeah, yep, because they are doing the recording. And so this is absolutely going up on YouTube. Thank you, Sue Ann.
Okay.
Yeah. So Gail, you any tools besides the ones that you mentioned, and where should people connect with you?
Oh, well, actually, the one I really enjoyed when I had a client that they had 2 pieces of content that used to rank, and now they weren't ranking, and they were really competitive keywords, right? And I really enjoyed rewriting those and expanding them, and they ended up like one's 3,500 words and one's 6,000 words, and we used Surfer to make them go to the very top of Google, and they stayed there a really long time. And even today, it's been more than a year, and as far as I know, they haven't updated them. They're still hanging in there first to fourth, floating up and down, right? Which surprises me a little because they're in the SEO world and they have dozens of competitors. So you'd think someone else would have used Surfer or something like it and taken that top spot back, but they didn't. And we outrank some really big sites, and they're not a really big. And so I really enjoy doing that. And now that we're not doing the Biz Sugar Mastermind community anymore, and I need new clients, I would really love to do that for some people. And they can reach me as GrowMap everywhere. Growmap.com, it's my website, or GrowMap on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or wherever. Send me a message, and I'd love to help them, especially small businesses. I really love helping small businesses.
Awesome. And I would have to say that, Gail, all the years that I've known you since we were, you were online even before I was. You've always done such an amazing job for your clients, and they're all happy to have you. Okay, so Sue Ann.
I just want to say thanks, and I got a little carried away here and there because these topics fire me up a little because I just have so many questions. I think that's what it is. It's like we're playing in the Wild West, boys and girls.
Awesome. But let everyone know where they can connect with you.
Oh, I'm Write Mix for Business with a W, like a writer. You know, I keep talking about that human writing and writing and writing and writing. Everything's writing. That's me. So writemixforbusiness.com. Hit me up on Twitter, or like I'm all over on social. I have a YouTube channel called Write Mix for Business by Sue Ann, or it's, if you just do youtube.com, it's /@ Sue Ann, SUE-ANN. My mother gave me a hyphen, and that's my real name, one name. I'm not like just half, like some people cut your name in half, right? What is they Sue? But I'm Sue Ann, it's one name. And I'm trying to do the YouTube thing. I just got my 99th subscriber yesterday. Woo!
Yay.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yes.
Congrats.
And Deborah, you and I have an announcement, but why don't you go ahead and make the announcement about our upcoming space?
Okay. And do you want me to add resources after that?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So then let's see, is that 2 weeks? Our next one is in 2 weeks, or is that 3 weeks? I don't have the calendar in front of me, but our normal first Saturday of the month, which is coming up shortly.
2 weeks, August the 3rd.
Yes. And then after that, months later, but that's a long month, that we have the next first Saturday of the month is the end of the week of Labor Day. And we're going to have kind of like a party time with games and so forth. And we'll put those together. And it's like a celebrating 1 year of the Ileane and Deb time together, and all of the things that we've talked about and reviewing and all that fun stuff. So we'll get to kind of like we used to call it, what is it? Martin, you'll have to help me. Smorgasbord.
Yes, smorgasbord.
There we go.
That's sandwich table.
There we go.
Swedish.
Of everything we've talked about for the year. But in 2 weeks, it's kind of like the light version of that leading up to this. So if we have for instance, a game that says, hey, what did we talk about during this time? You'll get kind of a preview in 2 weeks. So it's the light version of the one that's coming a month later, if that makes sense.
Awesome. So yeah, and how do people find you?
Oh, and a couple of resources, because we had so many resources. This is wonderful. This is great. But this inspired me to put together another one of my resource articles and put and I know you'll have all these links in your show notes as well. But so to add this to the recording, so I remember to add them to the article as well. The AI is also, and it's been available for some time on GoDaddy. So this morning, I actually, kind of inspired by our time together today, I went and registered 5 domains in GoDaddy using AI. And one of the domains was socialwriter.pro. Now, don't go looking right now because I literally just registered and got appointed to the name servers. But within about an hour, I'll have it hooked up to at least be redirecting to one of my domains. But I will set that up to have AI resources and so forth at that domain. So that's socialwriter.pro. And you can also find me anywhere on the internet at Social Web Cafe. So that's an AI resource as far as GoDaddy, if you want to find a domain that relates to your business. Another resource, if you're looking for a job and you need to put your resume together, ResuméWorded.com. It's really helpful. It's kind of in the category of language, similar to Surfer SEO, but it's for resumes, helping you find the right words that will help you land that job according to the job description. So that's ResuméWorded.com. Really, really helpful. I found some success I was getting interviews right away using that tool. So let's see, I can't remember, there was something else on this list. Oh, I had a tweet. I was trying to get it in the nest, didn't quite make it, but it's on my profile talking about how to put together, for instance, an autobiography, a kind of a quick way to do it. If you're sending a lot of, like you're talking to people on Facebook and you're telling them different stories about, hey, when I was 5, I did this. When I was 15, I did this, whatever, and just little stories. you can grab all those, stick them in, for instance, Magai, and ask Magai to create kind of, you don't tell it necessarily an autobiography, but just tell it to create a story, and it will sort that and organize that, assuming you put the prompt together in a way that Magai understands it. So it's like it writes your autobiography for you based on all these random little stories that you've told other people in Facebook. It doesn't have to be Facebook, but any kind of messaging. It could be, Twitter DMs. So that's another thing that you can do with AI, is have AI help you actually write your story, your life story.
All right. So while you keep mentioning putting tweets into a nest, perhaps you should explain to people what that means and how to find that.
How about I turn that one over to Miss Ileane? Although I was trying to do it on the desktop, and I've done it on the desktop. It's easier to do on the phone. It's a little more dependable on the phone, but you can actually. And Miss Ileane, I don't know if that's available for everybody that's in the space or just the host and co-host.
Oh,
It is available. Oh, I finally got it to work. It is available.
I was just going to say, I haven't seen anything there. It just came up right now, Miss Ileane.
Yes, I just shared it. Just this very moment, I shared it.
So there wasn't anything in the nest before. That's why we couldn't see it, or?
Well, it didn't work before. So I had tried to share that Perplexity thing, because now there's two things in a nest. The Perplexity thread that I created and we discussed at the very beginning of the space is now pinned to the top of the nest, as well as that cute little graphic of Social Cafe that I made over in Ideogram, which you can use for free. So both of those tools actually you can use for free. And so actually, just to sum things up, another question that came up, I think was Deborah, that asked at the very beginning about keeping these organized, like which tools are going to use when or whatever. Because I have Magai, I have not invested in any other tools. Well, outside of Zealous. And I was using Zealous because Zealous was strictly for Twitter Spaces when I purchased Zealous. And I have a special rate on Zealous because I was an early adopter. So, but nobody else can get that rate now. But anyway, and so I have just decided that I'm going to test ones. And as soon as I find one that is better than the last one I used, because actually what's going on right now, it's just the race to the top. Every time one of these LLMs gets updated, the other one, their competition, updates to even better. So that's why, like right now, the Claude 3.5 is one that everybody's so excited about. But very soon, I'm sure, ChatGPT will come out with another one. Like right now, they're on 4.0 or 4.0 because it's actually the letter O. I don't know why, but it's a race to the top. And so I don't want to get myself too dug in with any of them. I'm willing to just go with the flow, and whichever one gives me the best results for that day. I don't need to have it in Trello. I don't need to have it anywhere else. I might bookmark it on Chrome, but and I did actually download the app because Perplexity does have an iOS app, and actually so does Claude. I don't even have the ChatGPT app on my phone, but as I told you guys earlier, I use it on my mouse, my Logitech mouse, and I have a video about how that works. I wouldn't even use ChatGPT if it wasn't for the fact that it's built into this mouse.
Okay, so I have a request for all you people making lists and talking about all these AIs. Please always indicate whether this is iOS, Android, desktop, whether it'll work in Linux or not, because some of us are weird and we don't use smartphones and we use Linux, not Windows or Mac.
Yes. And I honestly, I have no idea what's available in Linux because I never used Linux in my life. But I will say that the Claude 3.5 just released their Android app like yesterday or the day before. It's on iOS. Perplexity is on iOS. I have no idea if it's on Android. It may be, but I don't know.
Okay, but let's say you're working on your computer and your AI is in your phone. How do you get the stuff from the phone into the computer?
It's connected in the cloud. And actually, I am using both of them on my computer mostly. I only installed the app because, they came out with the app and I was like, oh, let me just install it and see. But I rarely use it on the phone. But it's all connected in the cloud. Once you sign into your account, the results will be in both places.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, but great that you asked to clarify that, Gail, because like you said, there's just so many different ways that people are accessing, and we have to remember that we're
most people don't realize everybody doesn't have exactly what they've got. Like iPhone people think everyone has iPhone, and they never mention Android, for example. And, so, and everybody assumes everyone uses Windows or Mac. So if it doesn't work on Windows or Mac, they.
Yeah.
And we don't have any blue screens of death flashbacks today from yesterday.
No, we don't. And even my work at my day job, that environment is all Windows, but they were all on top of it and we didn't have any issues. So I didn't see any blue screens of death yesterday, but I do know that my hair salon, thank goodness this week wasn't my hair appointment week. The hair salon, I saw them post on Instagram that if you need to make an appointment, you just have to call us on the phone.
Yep.
Oh, well, this has been. Go ahead, Deborah.
Gail, I missed a part of that because I kind of got booted by Twitter and had to come back in. And what you were saying as far as the different platforms and so forth. But on my research article, I do usually differentiate as far as the different platforms and apps and so forth. So if there's anything that's like, for instance, Mac only or Windows only, I note it. But I think
the big one is smartphones only.
Right,
because there are things that annoy the heck out of me, because even if I switch to Windows, I download the thing, it lets me install it, and then it tells me you have to get an account with your smartphone or you can't use it, even though we let you install the stupid thing.
Right. I disclose that
me a lot.
On my research articles. I disclose that or I categorize it. But I think
smartphone only is the biggest one.
Right. But I think Miss Ileane covered that as far as when I was booted.
Yeah. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, and
thank you. Sometimes smartphones aren't so smart.
and Ileane and Deborah, was that the announcement about the next X Spaces, or was it anything more?
The first Saturday of the month.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything more to say at this time.
Yeah.
Not at this time, Martin.
Great.
We're back on the first. Not the first Saturday.
Good.
Yeah. And I forgot to say where you can contact me. I'm very active on YouTube, and that's Ileane Smith. And of course, on Twitter, it's just Ileane. And I'm on TikTok if you care. Also, Ileane Smith. It's been such a great time speaking with you all today. Thank you so much. We will see you again on the first Saturday in August, which is on the 3rd at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.